Welcome to Cord Cutting today for April 12th, 2019. This is the show where I give you a quick look at some of the biggest stories happening in the world of cord cutting right now. If you want to learn more about these stories, I'll put a link to each one in the show notes down below so you can read them for yourself, come up with your own opinions. If you're new here, hit that subscribe button, hit that thumbs up. It really does help us. Lets YouTube know that you enjoy what we're doing here, and hopefully we can help you break free from the high cost of cable TV and still enjoy the shows you want to watch. Now, one quick note before we get into the news of the day. Trying out a new camera. This is the camera I took with me to NAB. It's the camera that usually does the weekly cord cutting Q&As in my office. Trying it out in here to see if it does a little bit better job. Let me know. Do you like this camera better than the other camera we shoot these dailies on? I'd love to hear from you. But let's dive into the news now. Right off the bat, we got a sale going on again. TCL has lowered the Roku TV prices as Amazon has been clearing house on their smart TVs, their Fire TV Edition smart TVs. TCL doesn't want to be outdone by them for their Roku TVs. So right now you got 50-inch 4K HDR Roku TV starting at $299. It's a really great deal. Of course, they also have their higher-end 6 series with the really great picture and sound at a slightly higher price. I have a link to all the Fire TV and Roku TV sales happening right now in the link down below. Why are they clearing out price? Well, we don't know. It could be that Amazon's getting ready for a new set of Amazon smart TVs coming out later this year. It's very typical Amazon behavior. It's also very typical of Roku and other brands to say, hey, if you're making your products very cheap, we're going to do the same. So I would take advantage of them when you can. All right, let's get into the news of the day. Now, there's been a lot of talk this week about the cost of YouTube TV going up and how cord cutting is not cheaper than cable TV now. Of course, they ignore the fact that, for instance, Comcast went up $10 a month on their TV packages this year, which means if you have YouTube TV, you're saving the same amount of money this year as you did last year, and you're getting more channels than you did last year. But that's not making the news. What is making the news is that YouTube TV and DirecTV now raise their prices, but not the cable price hikes. But we broke down 6 ways that cable kind of likes to trick cord cutters into coming back. One of the big ones that I always find interesting is you've probably seen these 120 channels, 200 channels for like $80 with cable. What they don't tell you is often they double count channels. For instance, Comcast lists the SD and the HD version twice on their list. Where like YouTube TV, it just says ESPN, and depending on your internet and your device, it'll either give you SD or HD. Comcast says, well, we have both the SD and the HD channels there. They also have a huge number of music channels and more. That is one of the more popular ones. Of course, you got the things like the promotional rates. You have the offers that expire just a few months into it, or, hey, we're no contract, but if you want no contract, you have to pay an extra $10 a month. There's all kinds of issues like that in these Comcast offers. So I broke it down in the show notes, a full 6 ways that they try to trick you into going back to cable TV from cord cutting. So my question to you is, have you ever run into any of these situations where they say, hey, you know, you thought you were getting one thing from a cable company, and then when you got your bill, there was another? For instance, one of the things that got me when the last time I signed up for Comcast, when I moved into an apartment when I was younger, signed up, and they said, here's your bill. And then suddenly I get the first bill, and there's this huge new customer setup fee, right? The guy came, he dropped off a DVR, he screwed it into the wall, and he like walked out the door. And that was the total setup. It was maybe 15 minutes because I lived in an apartment that was all wired. And from the time he was in my apartment till he was out, it was gone. But now, for that kind of setup, you're paying $90 to Comcast right now, up to it. So I have a link to that story down below, and I have a link to the Ars Technica story talking about these setup fees. I'd love to know, have you ever run into anything? Have you ever said, hey, I got off the phone with a cable company, and I was expecting this, and in reality, that happened, and it was a lot higher, it was a lot different than what they told me. I'd love to hear your story, so leave them down below. Next up, speaking of price hikes on services. Last year, Hulu went up $5 a month. They couched it on, hey, we've added all these channels to Hulu Live TV since we launched, so we're going to go up $5 a month more because we're offering a lot more content. Well, yesterday at Disney's big press event, the first big investor / press event that has happened since Disney took over a majority control of Hulu, they announced on stage that Hulu's CEO said that the vast majority of live TV subscribers who canceled because of the price went down to an on-demand only package. And this is something that I think cable needs to be careful of. So you have all these media companies doing their best to drive up the rates on streaming services. Here's Hulu saying, hey, vast majority of the people who canceled didn't go on or didn't leave Hulu. They just went down to a on-demand only, maybe the $5.99 or the limited commercial plan, and they were happy. And I'm hearing that increasingly from cord cutters that, hey, I started my cord cutting experience with a Sling, a YouTube TV, a Hulu, Live TV, etc. And I find that increasingly I'm moving just to on-demand, and maybe I get a live TV service for HBO during Game of Thrones or during football season, but the majority of the year I'm just paying for on-demand. Want to know, are you in that category? Quarter reports are somewhere between 30 and 35 million cord cutters in the United States. Only 7 million of them pay for a live TV streaming service, which means the vast majority of cord cutters are finding that on-demand is all they want. According to Hulu, they're seeing that happen with their recent price hike. So do you fall in that category? Were you one of the people who said, hey, you know what, I started with it, decided it wasn't worth it, or maybe with the price hike it wasn't worth it, and now I'm on a limited commercial or a commercial-free plan? Let me know. I'd love to hear from you. All right, next up, again, price hike month. You know, the reality is you can't expect services to stay the same price forever. But there's been a lot of stories this week from big companies, a lot of them owned by a media company who also has stakes in cable or a traditional broadcast TV station, about how cord cutting isn't cheaper than cable anymore. It costs you more money. So Jess here on staff now went and broke down YouTube TV versus Comcast Digital Starter TV, which is two very similar plans. When you break it out, YouTube TV now has about 70, Comcast Digital Starter now has 80. And they were about the same price, but Comcast raised the price this week. It was $50 for YouTube TV and $59.90 something for Comcast Starter. That's going up to $69 as Comcast is raising the price $10 a month, plus fees, taxes, device rentals, and more. But just did a very detailed breakdown of, hey, which one has which channels? One of the biggest things I find a lot of sports fans are like, well, I'll just go back to cable because, that way I can watch my sports. Well, if you're looking for things like the SEC Network, FS2, ESPNU, ESPN News, and more, you're going to have to go to an even higher cable package to get what you want. But when you really break it down and you really look at the price, you can easily see how, according to Fortune, the average cost of a cable TV package is $107 a month as of 2018. That's before all the price hikes this year. So in the show notes down below, I'll put Jess's full guide. But I have to ask you, take a look at that guide. She breaks it down, doesn't really make a decision. She just says, hey, here's the cost of each package, here's the channels they include, here's the fees that are on cable, and so on. Here's the different pluses and minuses of each side. Which one, from looking at that, do you think is right for you, and why? Why would you go back to cable at that price, or why would you stay with streaming, and in this case YouTube TV, because that's the one that's getting a lot of attention right now? I'd love to know why you like each one and why you would go up or down to each package. But I think Jess did a really good job showing how YouTube TV's price hike compares to different cable packages. As we're seeing all these stories about how cord cutting costs, you're not saving any money, costs as much or if not more than cable, but very few of them I found really sat down and gave you an apples to apples comparison as best as possible between two similar packages. That's what we tried to do today, and I'd love to know what you think of it. We'll probably be doing these on some others too. Speaking of live TV streaming services, the next story today is that AT&T Watch TV, which is kind of a live TV service that's getting lost in the mix as it's not really promoted much by AT&T, but it's a $15 a month streaming service that offers 35 plus channels now. And if you have an AT&T Unlimited and More cell phone plan, you can get this for free. But they added 4 new Viacom channels, which include MTV, Nick, TV Land, and Velocity. I hope I'm saying that right, but I didn't even know that was a Viacom channel. Learn something new every day. But they just added them a couple weeks ago. AT&T and Viacom struck a renewed carriage deal, which allowed Viacom's channels to continue on DirecTV and AT&T Uverse. DirecTV now added some Viacom channels to their new Max and Plus packages, and now AT&T Watch TV is adding it. And I mean, the downside to that service is there's no DVR. For $1 more, you get Philo with DVR, but AT&T Watch TV has some channels that Viacom, or some channels that Philo does not. Philo does have more Viacom channels, but it's kind of one of those mix. Which one has the channels you want? I would say, hey, check out both. If you're really just looking for a handful of channels to fill in some gaps that you may really want, $15 or $16 a month, Philo and ATT Watch TV are pretty good options you should check out. All right, last story of the day is the big one, probably the reason you're here. Last night, Disney announced details about Disney Plus. Disney Plus is a new $6.99 a month streaming service that includes a ton of content. It's got stuff from Nat Geo, Fox, including every Simpsons episode. That was a bit of a shocker. Didn't expect that. Disney Studios, every Pixar movie, older ones with newer ones will be added. All the older Star Wars movies with newer ones added at a later date after a typical air in theater, typical wait period before it will appear on a streaming service, and more. Huge catalog of classic Disney movies, huge catalog of classic Disney Channel shows and Disney Junior shows, and more. Classic Fox movies, including movies like The Sound of Music, will be included on this new service. It's a pretty impressive lineup. It will come out in November of this year. Right now, they announced that PlayStation 4 and Roku TVs, which was kind of weird. They said Roku TVs. I found some media companies have been doing that when they're talking about Roku in general. They've been saying Roku TVs, but they said Roku TVs with Apple and Fire TV and more support coming later. They said they're working on those, so hopefully before the November launch, we'll get Apple and Roku TV, or Apple and Fire TV support before the November launch. But I was very impressed with the lineup. If you really look at it, for about $13, you can get Hulu and Disney Plus and really have just this massive catalog of content. And for instance, every single Simpsons episode, which if you haven't been a live TV subscriber, it's been something that you haven't been able to get. I know, like, if you use Sling TV through the FX deal, you could get all the Simpsons. But if you were just a cord cutter and you didn't want to pay for a live TV service, that was something not available before. Many Disney movies that have previously, quote, been in that vault are now going to be available through this Disney Plus service for the first time, where you're not paying either a lot of money or you're doing what we did and buy them on VHS cheap at like a local flea market. Now you'll be able to stream many of these movies on your TV through Disney Plus. So my question to you is, $6.99, is it something that's worth it to you? When I was recently asked which of the new streaming services I thought were most likely to be successful, I picked Disney Plus because I thought Disney has such dedicated fans, they would be willing to pay a lot if it gave them a lot of content. Well, Disney came out with a lot of content, and I'll be honest, I was expecting around $10. The $6.99 price point was a surprising move for them. I think it's a good price point for them to stick at and go from there. The huge catalog of content, a lot of original programming from Disney Studios, Pixar, Marvel, Star Wars, and more is all coming to Disney Plus. So are you excited? Are you not? The great thing about cord cutting is you have a lot of options out there. So just because something is out doesn't mean you need to subscribe to it, which seems to be a issue with many reporters. They don't seem to understand that you don't need to subscribe to everything. But the question is, do you want to? And if you intend to subscribe to Disney Plus, is there anything you intend to drop? Are you going to drop Netflix? Are you going to drop Hulu? Are you going to drop something else to replace it? Or is $6.99 something for the content you're going to get from that, make it worth it? A lot of this content, all those originals from Star Wars and Pixar's and Marvel and Disney Studios and more, National Geographic's going to have a lot of exclusive content on there. It is not content you're going to be able to get by going back to cable TV. If you go back to cable, you don't have that content. So I'd love to hear from you what you think. Hey, everybody, that's it for today. I hope you had a fantastic week. Let me know what you think of the camera. And don't forget, we have a giveaway going on. This is the last weekend to enter our 6th anniversary giveaway. We have a 65-inch 4K HDR Roku TV, $100 Sling TV gift card, and an Antennas Direct antenna to help you complete your little kit there. I'll put a link to it in the show notes down below so that you can check out our giveaway if you're interested in it. So let me know. I'll love to hear from you, and I'll see you tomorrow for our weekly recap, and on Monday back for our daily recap. So have a fantastic weekend. Be safe out there. Stay out of trouble, and hopefully the weather is improving wherever you may be. I'll see you later. Take care, everybody.